Okay, let's see if this is working. We're going with a different audio setup tonight, guys, so let me know if you can hear me okay. I'll just grab the chat on my phone a second, so bear with me. Just get the live chat up on here. Right. Okay, just type in the chat box if you can hear me okay. Hopefully we're not going to have any echo like we've had on the first two streams. I think I may have been able to sort that issue out, so just let me know in the chat box that you can hear me. Yes, ABC, Anthony, welcome to you. Yeah, should be a little bit better tonight. The last two streams, the first two streams that we've done, because I've been playing quite a lot of clips whilst talking about the case of Nicola Bulley, we've had some issues with a little bit of echo. And I may have sorted that issue out. So we're going to give it a little test in a second. And then obviously we'll wait for people to come in. And then we'll crack on with the show. Welcome to you all. Nicole, Diddy, Matthew, Karen, welcome to you. Hopefully Essex True Crime will be here in a minute to help moderate. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to play this little clip just to see if you can hear this. Let me know if you can hear this Sky News piece.
But this is a walk that probably took about 45 minutes, something like that.
And let me know about the audio levels as well.
Started around 8:40. Then the last kind of known whereabouts of Nicola was that phone, the dog willow, and the...
You can hear the actual the Sky News video, yeah? You can hear that? Excellent. Thank God for that. Because we've had, as I say, we've had some issues with echo the first two streams that we've done, because I've basically had to play it through the laptop straight into the microphone, and people have been saying it's causing a little bit of feedback, a bit of echo. Excellent. Progress. There we go. Sarah, welcome to you. David, Suzu, Matthew, Robert, Emma, Josh, Monster George, Kirky, welcome to you. Must give a quick shout out firstly before we even start tonight. I haven't done this for such a long time, probably the best part of a year. But I've got to give a quick shout out to some of the members of the channel, which I haven't done, as I say, for such a long time. Vicky Lou, Mark W, Beachbound, Tasha C, Hoof Munter, legend of the channel, Lynn S, Ryan H, Rebecca N, Lindsay H, Lenny Russell, Lutonian79, Freebird, Mark B, Wayne H, and Mel T. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Something that I don't do enough, to be perfectly honest. I don't thank the members of the channel enough, so that's a little shout out to you guys. Your support is, as I say, always appreciated. Right, so tonight what we're going to do, we're going to go through basically what I discussed in the last video that I released, the possibility, still hoping and wishing, praying potentially that Nicola is still out there somewhere, looking at some of the exit routes or a potential exit route she could have used which wouldn't have been covered by CCTV, and also the investigation as a whole, really, why they said very early on that they didn't believe that she left the river area, when it's proven by myself that it's very, very easily done via the normal towpath that she would enter and exit. But we'll get onto that. And I have to say, this guy on Sky News, praise the Lord, this man mentions Blackpool Lane. Little round of applause. The first person I've actually seen call this road Blackpool Lane. Why that's important is because the police have been looking for dashcam footage on Garstang Road for the past 3 weeks, and this guy, this journalist I believe he is the first person that I have seen to mention this road be called Blackpool Lane. I think that is a little bit of progress, and I have been a little bit concerned why they haven't got any dashcam footage of Nicola Bulley. Is that because they've been appealing for Garstang Road, which actually covers a lot of the top exit, which we know that she didn't use because of the CCTV coverage, what was it called, Rowan Water? But we'll get into all of that anyway. Give it a couple more minutes and then we'll crack on with the stream. 312 of you here at the moment. Welcome to you all. Tara, thanks for joining us this evening. Let's just catch up with a bit of a chat here. Monica, welcome to you. Paul, Arnold, David, Jay, Tiger, James M, JC, Arnold. Right, so what we're going to do first of all, we're going to go through, this is a basic timeline. I think this was released earlier this morning. They did a reconstruction pretty much of Nicola Bulley's walk that morning down to the actual minute they set off at the right time from when she would have dropped her kids off at school. It'll give you a good idea of the walk that she took. And also, I think what's also quite interesting is the vastness of the area concerning those fields. And I think I discussed this in the first stream. The lower and upper field, the actual area where she walked, to me at least, appears a lot bigger when you see it on camera than I would have imagined it to be seeing the aerial photographs of those lower and upper fields. But anyway, let's just start with this piece here. Do let me know if the sound's okay. I can adjust it, I can turn it up or down if you want me to. But hopefully it will be sufficient and there shouldn't be any echo.
Lead all by the bench where we were earlier on today, and that was found at around 9:30 by a lady who actually lives nearby. So a usual walk though for Nicola, nothing out of the ordinary that was happening on that walk, of course, up until that 10-minute window, which police say that she's been completely unaccounted for.
Yeah, okay. And as far as the police are concerned, they're no clearer now, really, as to what happened to her. From
no evidence,
no
clues. A family still questioning what on earth has happened. Yes, a main working hypothesis, but police also stressing they're keeping an open mind. The big question is 3 weeks ago, when Nicola Bulley went missing, what happened in that 10-minute window?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to start from the car park, which is where she came with the dog and the kids, dropped them off at school, and then we're going to walk along the road, just to give you an overview, walk along the road, walk down by the river, and then from there we are going to walk around the fields and try to get an idea of what might have happened. So that happened at exactly 8:40.
Yep, 8:40
From
right
here,
now.
what happened?
So Nicola came, parked up her car here. She dropped off her kids at school. She would have taken her dog Willow out of the car park, as she normally did, and walked her along this path next to the car park of the tennis club and the school, and along the school
to spin round if
as
you
well.
want to have a look rather than, yeah, there we go. So,
And this is a very normal route for Nicola. Almost every single morning, this is exactly what she would have done. Her kids coming to the school to our left as well. And this is a busy road. In Skip down there is where the family home is. So she would have come down this road and then onto the road up there, a very busy main road.
This is Blackpool Road?
Yeah, Blackpool Lane it is, yeah. And the police have stressed about Blackpool Lane because there are hundreds of cars.
700 vehicles.
Yeah, that would have passed.
Let's just make it very clear before we continue. The police have never once mentioned Blackpool Lane. Let's just make that perfectly clear. And I think this is one of the issues that I have with the way that this case has been investigated. Not just the fact that we're still banging on about the river, etc., but the fact that simple information, which actually could prove to be incredibly important once this is all investigated and done and dusted, is that they constantly said during the press conferences, during their press releases, during anything that they gave to the media, Garstang Road, we need dash cam footage from Garstang Road. And it's actually the little part where she enters and exits. This part of the walk from the school to the entrance point of her walk is Blackpool Lane.
Through that morning, and so they are clear they want to try and speak to every single one of those drivers to get as much dash cam footage as they possibly can to try and piece together what exactly has gone on. So she would have crossed this road and would have walked down this path, which heads up to not only the bridge which she crossed, but in fact the church which she would have passed, a church which has been a real focal point over the last 3 weeks for a lot of the community, for Nicola's family, when she's when they've come here to kind of, just shine a bit of hope over what's happened over the last 3 weeks.
Okay, so it's 16th century church, very beautiful building, just walking past some of our colleagues also broadcasting from here. The reason it's so poignant today is that it's 3 weeks today since she disappeared.
Yep, 3 weeks today.
Beautiful church.
Is what she was. Yeah, it's a really lovely church. I've been inside as well. It's really lovely. The vicar has spoken to us a couple of weeks ago, spoke of how this community is really in shock after what happened 3 weeks ago. And I actually met Nicola's sister inside this church just a couple of days ago. She was leaving a message on a tree that's inside there with the yellow love hearts, messages of hope for Nicola, and she would have come up here to this iron bridge, which again has been another real focal point of the last 3 weeks. Look at all these beautiful ribbons, daffodils that have been tied up with messages. Nicola's partner came down here leaving a message on one of them as well. And as we just go a bit forward, we get to the other side of the bridge and essentially the start of the path which is next to the river. This is the path that runs along the river wire, and it was 8:43 this time.
This is when
right now, 3 weeks ago.
So, you know, quite a pace she was walking at, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, we've
Okay, so we'll just stop it there. Now, this is obviously the entrance point off of the bridge to start the walk onto the field. So you can see that by this little location here. The area that I was actually focusing on in yesterday's video, if she did leave undetected, would be via the gate opposite, which is there, which you can follow the river path along the river wire and head further downstream. We're going to cover that a little bit later on in the video and why that may be relevant to her disappearance. But I just I saw a message here. What are the streamers' thoughts? I think my actual interpretation of this whole event has shifted. I wouldn't say from day to day, but when this initially broke, when this news originally came out that there was this missing mother of two, she was walking her dog, my initial thoughts were, okay, the police must be onto something here. They must know something that we don't. She must be in the river. It's going to take a couple of days, and then sadly, I would imagine that they will find her body. That was my initial thoughts during the first sort of 48 hours after this was announced. And then once, what's that guy's called? Is he called Peter Faulding? Once he turned up and he did his own search, at this point in time, I thought, there's something not quite right here. So I started to actually look into this case myself. I hadn't created any content on this particular case up till this point. And then the more that I looked into it, the more that I found inconsistencies in what the police were actually saying. The fact that they were making quite bold statements such as, we don't believe that she's left the river area, which is actually a load of rubbish. The more I looked into this, the more that I researched the area, researched what they were claiming to have and what they didn't have, it became apparent to me after a few days they didn't have any CCTV. And I made this claim about a week ago. I said, they don't have anything. They've got no CCTV of Nicola Bulley on her walk. Why do you think that we've got no CCTV being released from the police? Because it doesn't exist. And then once I'd figured that out, I thought to myself, well, how does that change everything? How does that change these bold claims put forward by the police that she's entered at this time? Witnesses have seen her here, there and everywhere. This area is covered by CCTV. They start muddying the waters a little bit, I feel, by talking about areas of CCTV which are completely irrelevant. Because when you take a look at her Strava account, Strava is an app that you can use to track your walks. She would always enter and always exit by this towpath here. So the fact that they're looking for CCTV footage from the top field exit, which she's never used, I mean, yes, that would be applicable if she's been abducted. Of course, you would look there, that you could rule that out, that she hasn't been abducted from that particular area. Fantastic, great. But the way that they came out, even in the last press conference, you know, we've been so fortunate to have so much CCTV that we can, you know, track some of Nicola Bulley's whereabouts and the witnesses. What I realised during yesterday's press conference is that they've pieced this all together by the eyewitness accounts, and then they must have seen these eyewitnesses on CCTV somewhere else. And these eyewitnesses have said, well, I think it was about 9 o'clock. I think it was about, 9:05, 9:10. And they have managed to capture these witnesses on some sort of CCTV somewhere other than this walk. And they've managed to time, okay, this person would be here at that time, probably would have reached this camera at that time. And that's how they've pieced all of this together. Simply from the eyewitness accounts, and then possibly capturing some of these witnesses on a camera somewhere, and then working back from there. But it became evident to me, as I say, very early on, that they don't have anything in terms of CCTV coverage of Nicola Bulley's walk. Then I started to get concerned because I started to notice that they kept asking for dashcam footage for Garstang Road. And first of all, I thought, maybe I'm just being absolutely crazy here. So I just kept checking. I kept looking at the different roads. And then I realised, okay, Garstang Road actually covers the top exit, which she's never used on any of her previous Strava walks. That's an area which isn't really of particular importance because she wouldn't be heading there anyway. Her car is parked down in this direction. So naturally, just like every other walk that she's done, She'll be coming out of here. She'll be turning left, back over the bridge, back the way she came, back to the school, where her car is parked, with the dog. Simple. But they've been appealing for dashcam footage on Garstang Road since day one. I've had people message me saying, well, locals know it as Garstang Road. I don't care if the locals know it as Garstang Road. If you had someone from out of the area who was travelling around here that day and they had a look back at where they travelled, they're going to say, oh, I was on Blackpool Lane. That's got nothing to do with me. And it does concern me massively when the police come forward in that press conference yesterday and say, by the way, we've written to 700 drivers and not one of them has got Nicola Bulley on their camera. And it does make me wonder, well, where is she? Not just a case of, okay, maybe she didn't leave the Riverside area. You've not actually got any proof from dashcam or CCTV to say that she even started it. Now, I'm not going into conspiracy land here because I do believe she was on that walk, but they've got nothing to say that she started. They've got no starting point and no point to see if she's ended it. And that's my biggest issue here, is that they're making these big claims about she's in the river, she hasn't left the Riverside area. And then when people start to pull them up on that, they then start to say speculation is hurting the family. Speculation is distracting us. And then, like I said in a previous video, the only thing that's distracting to me is the fact that you keep saying the wrong bloody road name. You keep looking for dashcam footage on the wrong road. And I don't know, now this is literally the first day, the first piece that I have seen in 3 weeks where someone has said Blackpool Lane. And we're what? This is the third week now that we're into this investigation, into this missing person inquiry. And it's taken 3 weeks just to get the correct road name. Is it any wonder they don't have her on dashcam when they've been looking for CCTV, potentially from the wrong road the entire time? It's just not particularly good. Not particularly good, is it? Tiger, thank you for the super chat. You need to work for the police. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they'd have me after this, to be honest. JC, $4.99, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Just catch up with some of the chat here. Say a few hellos. Miss Ladybug, welcome to you. Go Find Me, welcome to you. Perry UK True Crime. Janet, welcome to you. Hopefully the sound's okay. Just let me know if that sounds all right with the Sky video. The video is a little bit choppy in areas, but it's got nothing to do with me. It's just how the original video is. So yeah. Miss Lemons, welcome to you. Richard, thank you for joining us. Lee, Mr. Lottie. But yeah, it's just been back to the original question. I think I got a little bit sidetracked there. So what were my opinions? So as I say, initially I believed that she'd most likely fall into the river based upon what the police were saying. And then I started to think about the abduction angle. How likely is that? Looking at the time period, looking at where these items are discovered. And that was probably my next hypothesis, using a police word there. But now since these revelations have come out, sadly, into the public domain regarding Nicola's personal struggles, which I don't believe needed to be given in such detail. I would much rather have this investigation started with, we're looking for a vulnerable woman. I think immediately at that point, that would have shut down a lot of the speculation, potentially about abduction and that sort of stuff. I think that would have at least narrowed the public's viewpoint in terms of what they may be looking for. But they didn't. They've now released this big thing about the perimenopause, about her being someone who had a problem with alcohol. And I think that's really taken the shine off of what we need to be looking at here, the fact that there still is no sign of this individual. There's no evidence that she fell in the river. There's no evidence she's been abducted. And there's no evidence that she's walked off on her own accord. So at the moment, all options should remain open. And I think what concerns me is that I heard in that press conference that they're going to be scaling back this search operation. And I was even tempted, and I don't think I'm going to do this, but I was tempted to drive there tomorrow. I think it's about 4 hours from where I am. But I don't want to be labelled as, oh God, here we go, the bloody TikTok police are out and this, that and the other. But I just have my own ideas on where, if she was going to leave, to me it seems very likely if she planned on just leaving her life behind and she's had some sort of break and she just thought, I've got to get away from here. I wouldn't say the best, but the most obvious place to me is that gate directly opposite the towpath, because that leads on to the river, the river path on the river wire. So it's not just some random field, as I mentioned yesterday. Let's get up the satellite image here so we can just have a quick look at this before we continue. Also quite interesting is that the police keep banging on about, as I say, these areas of CCTV coverage which are completely, largely irrelevant. I mean, they say they've got CCTV at the Grapes. So this is the entry and exit point right here. She's not going to turn right. She would never turn right because her car is located here. So if she's come out, and I think this is what leads me to looking at this gate and looking at this area downstream. Because if she hasn't been seen on dashcam footage, she hasn't been seen on CCTV here, so she hasn't turned right. If she had turned left and decided to go for a walk down this way and maybe continue on, there's every chance that at some point in time someone may capture her on dashcam or via like a Ring doorbell. So then what are we left with? If she has left this area, then the most obvious place to look would be the gate completely opposite where she comes out. Let's just get onto the street view here so I can show you again where this actually is. So she would be coming out. I'm useless with this. Here we go. She'd be coming out from here, from the towpath, and directly here, this is part of the walking network or a walking route. So you could go straight through that gate into these open fields and walk along the river path, continuing downstream. Now, the interesting thing about this is that you can end up anywhere from here. And bearing in mind, we're not talking about Nicola going missing and then this search taking place within 10 minutes. She's had a fair amount of time, if she has moved away on foot, to cover quite a lot of ground. From when they've actually managed to get helicopters up and search teams organised, she could have been anywhere. You're not being funny. She could be long gone at that point. And as I say, what is interesting about this area is that if she had used that river path heading further downstream, most likely this isn't covered by any sort of CCTV. And if you follow the river, you can obviously, as I say, take a multitude of different exits along this river walk. But eventually you'll end up in another village, which is, where is that? Bear with me. Great Eccleston. I mean, you can even make it to a completely another place, a complete another village, a completely different village, sorry, just by walking without being seen on any CCTV. And I think a lot of focus has been put upon the riverside area, quite rightly so, for her disappearance. But then if she has left, you've got to ask yourself, well, where could she have gone where she wasn't seen? And if someone wanted to leave their life behind, would they leave their stuff on the bench, leave the phone open on Teams? I mean, the impression that I get, and I don't think anyone's ever mentioned this, but is there a possibility here that Nicola tried to tie the dog up herself? The dog has somehow got free between the time she's managed to try and tie her up and the dog being discovered by the dog walker. And that dog is then running between the gate and the bench. I mean, people are saying, well, the dog could have got through. Yes, it may have done, but from what I can gather, when they took the dog back there the following day, it wasn't just a case of, jump through the fence. It was quite a struggle for that dog to get under the stile or whatever it was. So it wasn't particularly easy for the dog to get to the other side of that gate. And I wonder if Nicola was in a mindset where she was, in a poor state of mind at that time, I don't believe that she would have walked into that river with that dog off of its lead. They loved that dog. From everything that I can gather, as her partner said in one of those news pieces, that dog was like a third child to them. And I don't see Nicola walking that dog and walking into the river or jumping into the river with that dog off of its lead or not secured, because the dog could easily die alongside you. And I don't think that would be something that you would want, or even that dog to witness what was taking place. Maybe she left that stuff there, simply crossed the road, took the next gate and continued on wherever. I mean, there's little areas of woodland that need to be searched. I've heard that the police at some point in time had searched a 1 kilometre square radius. I mean, have they gone outside of that? That's like half a mile. I mean, you can just see from here, this river path, you can just walk and walk and walk. And there's little areas of woodland coming off of these paths. There's a multitude of different exits that you can take. I mean, look, as I say, little areas of woodland. Has this all been checked? Have these areas been checked by the police, by anyone who's out there searching for her? I just don't think that if she was going to do anything to herself, she would have chosen that location. Bearing in mind, there's dog walkers, there's people walking about. Would you be doing that in front of, with the potential of being seen by someone? That also needs to be taken into consideration. Or maybe if she's just decided to leave her life behind her, what better place to go than straight across the road, straight through that gate. The dog, maybe you've tried to tie it up, maybe you think it's secure, you've shut it one side of the gate, you've left your phone open so people can identify whose dog it is or who you are, whatever, and then you've just gone. You've just had enough and you walk off into the distance. That's the best case scenario here, that she has just walked off, that she's somewhere safe, she's somewhere secure, and she is still alive. That is the best case scenario for me at this time. Whew. 1,500 of you here at the moment. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. But as I say, the fact that the police have harped on about this, we don't believe she's left the Riverside area. I mean, that is just an absolute assumption, pure and utter assumption, based on the fact that there are a few items by a bench. And there's nothing else to substantiate that. And I think that's what's wound a lot of people up, to say, you know, we don't believe she's left here. We believe she's in the river. And then when they've been questioned on that, it hasn't gone down particularly well, has it? The way these press conferences have been held, the attitude from the people giving these press conferences, I don't believe has been particularly endearing. It's been very sort of crass and aggressive and defensive. Yeah, that's just my own personal view. I just don't think that they've helped themselves in a lot of this, to be honest. Right, anyway, let's carry on with this video. Where were we?
You know, walk down, she's got a dog with her, probably the dog, you know, running a bit ahead of her. You're a dog walker yourself.
This first time we've seen the river wire there.
Yeah, that's the river. You can see actually, you know, there is a bit of a flow to the river this morning. But, you know, this was all normal for Nicola.
Yeah.
You know, walking along this path, you know, the river to her right, the dog was scurrying off ahead of her.
Dog off the lead by now.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I'm not entirely sure whether the dog is still on the lead or off the lead, but certainly when she got to the fields a bit further up, the dog was definitely off.
Can you hear me? Frozen. Let's have a look here. What's going on? It says excellent connection. Can you hear me? You can hear me. Right, so the video froze. Okay. Can you tell me if the video starts playing? I'm going to hit the play button now.
She did end up in this river. You can just see as we go around here as well.
Here, actually, yeah.
This is the weir.
Yeah.
Now, what the police say
Excellent.
is that it is very likely
Cheers, guys.
that if Nicola was in the water, the force of the river could have, that the flow of the river could have sent her over that weir. And that's where you see the water picks up, the pace picks up, and she could have gone further downstream.
Okay.
But, you know, this has also been a point where police have been launching their boats off here to try and get into some parts of the water, to get near to some of the deep parts where they can do some of their diving and see if they can get any evidence.
So just to clarify what's going on here, we are trying to walk at a pace that she would have been walking at. This is exactly what would have happened 3 weeks ago. She's dropped the kids off at school. She's walked along the Blackpool Lane there, and she's moved onto this path that will take her to her normal route where she walks the dog Willow.
And look at this, you know, posters everywhere now. Nicola's face is plastered over this village. We saw this morning driving in, you know, even miles out, missing posters, someone with some evidence who may have been driving that Friday morning. Do you know where Nicola is? Did you see anything? Did you see her entering the path? Did you see her leaving the path? Was that a possibility? But now we're just walking into a path which basically takes us to where we've been broadcasting from this morning.
And the next juncture of where people last saw her.
Yes, exactly. You know, we've seen already a number of dog walkers this morning. It is a busy dog walking area. Plenty of dog walkers almost every morning. I've been told, okay, that Friday morning, the 27th of January,
very cold.
It was very cold, It was really cold.
And slippy.
Slippy because of the mud.
And the ice.
And the ice. And there weren't as many dog walkers as there usually would have been that morning. I mean, if there were more, maybe we'd have more answers by now. You know, it's a minute thing that the weather wasn't the greatest. It could have seen more people.
I mean, really, the police suggestion that she hasn't left the area is based on the fact that no one has seen her. There's no eyewitnesses of her leaving her walk or exiting the walk. That's what they're basing it on. But as that man just said there, he doesn't believe, or it's speculated that there weren't that many dog walkers out that morning. It was a cold morning. Could that explain why no one actually saw her leaving? Did someone see her leaving and didn't realise it was her? I mean, there's so many different possibilities. But what we can say is that there's no CCTV covering that area. So there's nothing in terms of absolute evidence from video to suggest that she came in and left or didn't leave. We just don't know. It's speculation.
Out on the footpaths walking their dogs, but we're heading to the fields now where Nicola was sighted.
And there's a lower field and an upper field, yeah,
so there's a lower field to our left as we get through this kissing gate, and this gate actually I think we have to mention because it will play an important role in when we talk a bit about what happened later on. We just get through it.
So this is what I mean. This is basically what we call a kissing gate, isn't it? So this could have been the dog was stuck this side, so it couldn't come if she went back this way. And that let's come. The area that we just walked along, that is where there's no CCTV.
No.
We go down this way.
Yes. So Nicola would have come through the gate.
And as I say, a lot of people are saying, well, if she went through the gate, then the dog would have followed. Again, from what I can gather, they took the dog there the following day. The dog managed to get through via a different part of the fence, the stile, I think it was, possibly, or a different part of the fence. But it was a little bit of a struggle for the dog. And, how hard would it be to, maybe throw a stick a mile away or try and just distract the dog for a couple of minutes and then quickly make your escape? That dog wasn't on its own for a great deal of time. Also, we can't discount the possibility, as I said earlier, that maybe Nicola tried to tie the dog up herself. Maybe that dog was restrained for an amount of time, then got free before it was discovered by the dog walker. We don't know. There's talk that the dog was tied up by string, twine or rope. Do we know if that was carried by the dog walker? Was it nearby? Was it by the dog? I mean, could that suggest that was used before the dog walker got there? So many different possibilities because we don't have all of the information from those eyewitnesses. We don't have that information to make a true assessment. But I do believe it is possible that she left that area by either distracting the dog, tying it up possibly for a short amount of time before it got loose, and then making her way back down the towpath and straight across the road into the other fields further downstream. That is possible as far as I'm concerned. What's also interesting is that they're going to mention very shortly that Nicola, during this point of her walk, then decides to arrange a play date. And I find this quite strange. And I said this in my previous video, that she does appear to be living in the present and looking forward. Does that make sense? Like living in the moment. So she's not so much stuck in her head about what's happening and maybe some of the issues that she's facing. It appears that she's thinking forward. She's planning stuff for the future. And then you need to ask yourself, would someone who is doing that then decide to take their life 15, 20 minutes later? To me, that doesn't make any sense. Doesn't mean it's impossible. But to me, it's just another question that remains unanswered.
And she would have walked onto what is now the lower field. Just a big open space. I can imagine, it's not been confirmed, but I can imagine police are suggesting that Nicola would have taken Willow off the lead here.
Yeah, of course.
And let her roam about.
Yeah.
You're a dog walker, that's what would
and then he'd have been off.
happen.
She'd have been off. I keep saying here. And we're going to get to the spot now where she was spotted by another dog walker.
Yeah, that happened in a couple of minutes' time. So that was around 8:50. So we'll get to that shortly. So because what she would have done is, and I've spoken to dog walkers over the last 3 weeks I've been here. This is a normal route for all the locals, people who knew Nicola. Nicola herself. You can see actually. See the path
worn
there?
Path, yeah.
It's a worn path. People do this on the regular. And this is where she would have brought Willow as normal that morning.
So what's striking me at the moment is that she had quite a lick on. So, she wasn't sauntering. She wasn't like alone with her thoughts. She was properly moving.
Yeah, but I think there is also, given everything that's come out over the last few days, Kay, her family and her friends, and I think people in general who are watching this will be thinking, What were Nicola's thoughts that Friday morning? How was she feeling? What was going through her mind? We know she was on a meeting call. We know she texted a friend, all that kind of stuff. But what was going through that mum of two's mind, particularly when just over 2 weeks before that morning, she had a visit from police because of concerns for welfare?
Yeah,
It's
we
a big
know that a
question.
medical team went to the home on the 17th of January, and they haven't told us anything more than that, but we do know that the police have referred themselves to the complaints committee as a direct result of that.
Yeah, it's a good point there from Devilman. Let's just try and read that. The chat goes so bloody quickly. If you're going to try and disappear, then you will update... Oh, God, how can I stop the chat, man? Hang on a second. I have to take a screenshot of it. Right, here we go. If you were going to try and disappear, then you'll update, make everyone believe things are normal, or else they would find you easily. So booking playdates, etc. is not suspect at all. Exactly. If you did plan just to leave your life, you would want things to appear normal, or maybe you wanted to make it appear that you had walked into the river or something along those lines. Then you would continue on with your normal routine. You would attend a work call as she did, send the message to organise the play date. She had a spa weekend booked. And then the items are discovered on the bench, aren't they? I mean, like that poster or that commenter says there, you would try to keep up appearances as if things were normal, and then everything's normal until it's not. Does that make sense? You just disappear, you vanish. I mean, really, that is the biggest hope that we have at this time, is that she has disappeared and that she is alive somewhere. And I think that is, I don't know, I would say that is unlikely, clearly because of the time that's elapsed since her disappearance. I think if I had to guess, I would say, if I had to say out of the three situations, that she's either gone into the river, she has harmed herself but somewhere else, or she's still alive and just had to get away from everything. I would say she's probably harmed herself somewhere else, if I had to guess. I mean, I hope and pray that isn't the case. But what can we say at this point in time, 3 weeks later? My biggest concern is that this search operation just gets wound down to literally nothing. And I do think that is a big concern 3 weeks later. Even that guy yesterday in the press conference said that they're going to need to reevaluate what resources they put into this search effort. And it's just been a disaster from the police from day one. Maybe not so much how they've searched the river or their actual physical acts in searching for Nicola, but the PR, the way that they've come out during these press conferences. I just don't think that it's been particularly good in terms of having the public alongside them, working with them. They've almost, it seems to me, like put a division between the public and themselves. It's almost as if you speculate, if you think outside the box here, then it's not good, you're distracting us. And people don't like that. People like to be able to look at possibilities. If you care about other individuals, you want to try and help in some way, you want to try and look at different alternatives. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a mystery, isn't it? We don't know where she is, and when mysteries happen, people want to find the answers, and I think that's only natural. I certainly don't agree with turning up there, breaking into things, causing criminal damage or anything like that. Certainly don't agree with that and would never condone that at all. But sensible discussion, logical discussion on the possibilities of what could have happened to Nicola Bulley, and holding people accountable, particularly the police, I feel is what people should be doing. I hear a lot of, don't slag the police off, don't hold them to account, you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, not being funny, a lot of this stuff is just very simple common sense. The road name, the fact that she could have exited, the fact that there's no CCTV coverage of this location. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's very, very simple to find out. You just put a little bit of resources into it. You just spend a little bit of time looking at this location, trying to piece together what's happened. It's not about slagging people off or making people appear bad. It's just holding people to account. At the end of the day, it's the police service. It's what people, the public, pay for. They pay towards, and they expect a certain level of service from that organisation.
Moment.
If we just pause here, because before we get to the upper field, it was around this time, roughly, about 8:50 that Nicola was then spotted by another dog walker.
Yeah.
Someone who knew her, walking around the lower field with their dog as well. The two dogs actually interacted before the other dog walker went off and took the river path which we've just come down, and Nicola then carried on with her dog Willow.
And we wanted to do this retracing of her steps today to illustrate to people at home, you know, what had happened. There's so much intense interest on what has happened. She's the front page picture on all the papers seemingly every day, and yet it's difficult to place things together until you sort of do this sort of walk, I suppose.
Especially when you're in such a rural area. This is such a quaint village.
Beautiful.
A rural, quaint village in a rural part of Lancashire. You know, it's hard to picture exactly what went on, and we've seen Nicola's face. You know, but what is the story behind Nicola Bulley? What happened to her in that 10-minute window? And that's what, hopefully we can paint an image of what led up to that point.
This is the upper field.
Yes, so now we're heading into the upper field. So she obviously had an interaction with the dog walker in the...
And I mean, you could just see here from these aerial shots how vast this area is. When you look at the satellite images, it's almost like, oh, you'd probably get round there in a couple of minutes. But it's just a lot bigger than what I imagined. When I first saw this other guy who did a walk, I think his channel's called, was it called Dead Good Walks? Something like that. It's nothing based on this case. He's just someone who goes around different walks around the country. And when I saw his video, it was apparent very early on just how large this area is. It's not just a case of 30 seconds across the field and on to the next one. It's certainly a lot bigger than what I was expecting anyway.
In the lower field, and then she moved here to the upper field. It actually just goes up this bank here, and then we get into the upper field, and that's where
and she had her
Nicola
mind
usually walked.
Yeah, she had her mind on work, because we know that in a minute or two she would have messaged her boss.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important piece. A bit muddy here.
Yeah.
It's a really important thing to notice, actually, that, you know, Nicola...
Woo, that was a steep.
Be careful. Nicola was, thinking about work. You know, she was thinking about work. And the police have gathered that from the evidence of her phone, which was left on the bench, still unlocked.
Yeah.
You know, they will have forensically examined that. And they will have seen that, okay, she sent emails, she sent texts. It was in a couple of minutes' time, actually, that she would have been texting or emailing and walking. And on the left, you can see the river wire.
So her pace has slowed a bit because she's texting and emailing. And...
Well, you'd think, you'd think keeping an eye on Willow, just having chatted to a friend, thinking about what she's emailing to her boss.
Yeah. Is this the rock wire as well?
This is all the river wire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw a question there. We don't know the context or the content of the exact text message or the email to her boss, but by all accounts it was very normal. And again, this is just a point that's worth considering. If you had planned on taking your life in that area, not so much somewhere else, but by the river, would you be so present in your life to be attending your team's call, sending an email to your boss, arranging a play date for your children? To me, that doesn't make sense. If you wish to actually leave your life, yeah, of course, as someone said earlier, you'd want things to appear normal. Of course, that would be one of the things that you took into consideration. But to think that you're going to actually take your life in 10 minutes, would you be doing that? I mean, I guess you could say, on the flip side of that, maybe she would want to tie up loose ends. Maybe she felt a duty for certain stuff regarding work. Maybe she had to give some information across to somebody. And she felt obliged to do that. I mean, that is a possibility. But she seems very present on this walk. From what we can gather, it seems like an everyday occurrence, an everyday walk with the dog, off the lead, attend the team's call, organise the play date, send an email to your boss. It seems that she's wrapped up in what she's doing in the present time, not so much considering ending her life in the next 10-15 minutes.
Okay.
So that's where it kind of meanders round.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And then heads...
sorry, guys, I thought it had frozen. I'll carry it on.
Downstream. But look, a vast open field.
Yeah.
Again, a trodden path.
Yeah.
Obviously worn, as dog users usually would use. We've seen some this morning taking this route as well. And
So she
very shortly, she would have just been finishing her email off, which goes to her boss.
Yeah.
And
so she's looking at the dog. She's making sure the dog's all right.
Yeah.
You know, from my own experience, you keep an eye on them, but you're doing other things as well. The sheep across the way there, just obviously keeping an eye on what's going on. And then she sends the email.
Yep. At 8:53, police say right now, 3 weeks ago, Nicola hit send.
Yeah.
And an email was sent to her boss.
Yeah.
And police basically say that, you know, that's an important juncture because we can get a sense that, yes, she was active, she was on her phone, and she was essentially, you know, if you're emailing your boss, you're in a fairly decent frame of mind.
Yeah.
You know, that email didn't suggest anything otherwise. It was a standard work email.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point I want to raise here. So when the police are in receipt of this information, let's just look at what they find when they get there. So you've got a dog who is dry, doesn't appear to have gone into the water. That's the first thing. A harness, a phone which has its screen on, still attached to the Teams call, and it then appears that she's been communicating or sending emails, arranging play dates, all of that sort of stuff. So do they think, oh, okay, it's a tragic accident, she's fallen into the river? But then they have to ask themselves, well, then how would she have fallen into the river if the dog's dry? Because why would you be near that edge to fall in? Why is the phone on the bench? Like, surely they're trying to piece those parts, you know, of the puzzle together and look at it in that sort of way, rather than just thinking to themselves, okay, this is someone who's a vulnerable individual. She's had some past issues. And basically her items are found by a bench, and on that tree there's a sign that says danger, deep water. She must have just gone into the water. I mean, it just feels like not enough thought's really taken place at the earliest stage to even consider the fact that, okay, she may have been abducted, something may have happened to her here, potentially. Maybe we need to seal this area off just for a day or two, just to get the correct people in, just to check the area out thoroughly. But it didn't happen, did it? I mean, they did some evidence gathering around the bench. And as I say, I've said in previous videos, I've got no idea what that means. Whether that means just collecting the items, whether that means they've done some extensive forensic testing around the bench, which I don't believe that's happened. But it all just appears very rushed. And then from there, you can't really go back, can you? And I also think that, you know, about this Peter Fording situation, the fact that they didn't tell him about these previous issues, because he's come out recently, said that he's really unhappy with the communication from the police, not so much the police themselves, but people higher up in command who have clearly said, don't tell him about anything to do with her vulnerabilities. Keep that to us. We don't want to divulge that to him. He has said publicly that he wouldn't have told anybody. It would have been kept completely confidential. He works with the police all the time. And I've just got this feeling that the police thought to themselves, if we get Peter Fording up here and then he finds her, that looks terrible on us. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that, but that is just this feeling I get. And I don't know why that is. And that's the reason I think that they didn't tell him about her vulnerabilities and all that sort of stuff. They didn't want him to be in receipt of all the information, because if he turned up there, this private company, they've already been under a little bit of pressure, the police, at this point in time. There's already been some questions asked of the police at this point in time. If he rocks up from Essex or Kent or wherever they're based, and he finds her on the first or second day, doesn't look good to Lancashire police, does it? The fact that this outside company's turned up with his super sonar radar gun and found her within the first day. And I don't know what it is, and I think he said it's all about egos, it's ego. And I do think there is a little bit of that. When you see these press conferences and you see how pissed off and how angry they are at any sort of questioning, you know, don't question us, we know what we're doing, we've got the information, you know, it's never come across as they're particularly open to suggestion. And it wouldn't surprise me if that was genuinely what was going on in the back of their mind. Right, we'll get Peter Fording up here. Well, the family want Peter Fording up here. We can't exactly say no, can we? Okay, well, let's get Peter Fording up here. And they kept information from this guy, which may have changed his search strategy. And just somewhere in the back of my mind, and I could be wrong about this, it's just my own personal opinion here, but I just get the feeling they didn't really want him to find her. Because if he did, it just wouldn't look good. It wouldn't look good on Lancashire Police. And that's my honest thought. I might be wrong. I could be wrong. But that's just the vibe I get from everything that they've said, pretty much. And how this has been conducted from day one.
And so that's an important piece in this route. So she would have carried on here. You know, with Willow, email sent, maybe phone back in the pocket. Maybe, actually, one thing we have noticed, Kay, is Nicola, and friends have told us this, Nicola used to take so many photos when she was out walking.
Right.
You know, her family shared photos with her, with Willow of her to us. You know, so many photos when she'd be out walking. She'd have a Fitbit on,
Although
which would
that
track her
wasn't
steps.
synced up, was it?
No, that wasn't synced up, police
so that
said.
would have been very useful for the police, but it hadn't been synced up for a few days.
Yeah, and
Now
actually,
she's thinking about doing a Teams call.
well, yeah, a Teams call would have started at around 9 o'clock, so in about 6 minutes' time.
Yeah.
So
So she's thinking about it. It's a work Teams call, and she's thinking, okay, I need to go on that call for 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Meantime, walking by the river
Yeah.
with the dog, potentially taking photographs. I don't think she took any that day, did
No.
she?
And bitterly cold as well. Remember,
Yeah.
you know, Nicola was well kind of padded up with her clothing. She had a full-length black kind of padded jacket on. She had wellies on. She had socks, a hat, a scarf, and, you know, she was well wrapped up because it was bitterly cold that morning and muddy
Yeah.
like it is right now. And, you know, we can see kind of holes and big kind of divots in the ground. But again, she was used to all this. She did it almost every morning. She was used to it. There was nothing out of the ordinary for her whatsoever.
The last images we've seen of her are getting in the car,
Yeah.
aren't they? It's a bit windy, forgive me. Hopefully you can still hear us. Getting in the car with the kids
Yeah,
and the dog.
yeah.
And that was from the security at home.
Yeah, it was from the front camera
Yeah.
at home. And actually, you know, it was released, it was handed to us by some of Nicola's friends. You know, they were like, look, this is what she looked like on that morning. Grainy images, but we want to share these so people can jog their memories and get an understanding of where she was, what she was doing, what she looked like. And, you know, those were the last images.
Yeah, and I think that was quite interesting when those images were released by a friend of Nicola Bulley, the CCTV or Ring doorbell footage, the still photographs of Nicola Bulley on that morning. It became, I thought to myself at that point, the police don't have any CCTV, and they were never very clear. They never have been, actually. They've never come out and been really transparent and said, we haven't got Nicola on any CCTV. They say we've got no CCTV of Nicola starting or ending her walk, but that's where they leave it. They're not particularly transparent, because if they were, then naturally, you know, the vast majority of people are then going to start questioning, well, why do you believe she hasn't left the riverside area then? Why have you put all of your eggs in this river basket when you can't even tell if she's left the area? I mean, evidentially speaking, you can't tell that. So, I don't know.
We've seen of Nicola on that Friday morning, loading the car as she normally would and starting her journey to head to the school.
Yeah. We know that the family are watching us this morning.
Yeah.
It's so difficult for them.
Look, I mean, I've been in touch with this family for the last 3 weeks. I interviewed them, her sister Louise, her father Ernie, her mum Dot. It was really, really tough because they were just clueless with, no answers, no evidence, no idea where their sister, daughter, a mum, a partner has gone to. I think the words that they used with me, Kay, was that feels like she's vanished into thin air. That's what they've said. And
I think that's a good point. Everything screams to me pre-planning. Unsync Fitbit, leave phone on the bench, no CCTV in this area, I'm gone. And I think that's one of the points that's stuck out to me a little bit, is that I genuinely think that the family also believe this. The way that the partner, I mean, it's not like he's been, overly emotional in terms of it seems like a massive monumental shock that something like an absolute tragedy has happened. There's almost something that it appears this isn't a massive surprise in some way. Even when her sister was speaking, it was almost like, if you're out there, please come home, appealing for her. And I guess you can look at this in one of two ways. Either they genuinely believe that because of maybe what's happened back in January, maybe that has something to do with it, and there's been signs there that she may just up and leave, and they're hoping that that's the case. Or maybe when you're in that situation, if you face that in real life, all you have at that point in time is hope, isn't it? I I mean, you're not going to say, well, we think something terrible's happened, the end. You're going to cling on to that hope because it's your loved one, it's someone that you care deeply about. So I guess it depends how you look at it. But the way that they've appealed, it does seem to me that they think that she may have walked away, that she may have left. And as I say, that's what I'm clinging on to. That's what I'm hoping is the case here, that she has gone somewhere. And I mean, I've read stories since this recent news came out of people that have gone missing for years. So is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. I'd say it's very unlikely, but certainly not impossible. And I just hope that people don't, particularly people who live in the local area, I hope they don't give up hope in terms of looking for her, because there is going to be a point in time where the police start to strip back and pull back their resources. And I think what I said last week, I mean, after Peter Faulding left, I said my biggest fear is that they're going to say she's in the sea and that's it. There's nothing more that we can do. And that's been my biggest fears for probably the last 2 weeks, that's going to happen at some point. And I just hope that there's so many barren areas, which we'll get to in a little while, that I think need to be checked. So much time, so many resources put on the riverbank, the river area. A 1 kilometre square area which has been searched. I mean, have they expanded that? They said they've searched 300 buildings, spoken to 300 individuals. I think you need to be checking the little areas of forestry, that the little small woodlands, those sort of areas, in those open field locations, which we'll get onto, as I say, in a little while. But I hope that people who live nearby don't stop searching for her. They don't give up hope, because at the end of the day, this is someone's mum, this is someone's sister, this is someone's daughter. And regardless of the situation, at some point there needs to be answers. And I don't think people are just going to be satisfied with the idea that she fell into the river and that's the end of it. I just don't think people are going to be satisfied with that at all. Let's continue on if this plays. There we go.
Because there's that 10-minute window which no one's got any clue what happened to her. And the family, have had to be incredibly strong over the last 3 weeks, because this is a case that we've seen has taken so many twists and turns. It's had involvement from, every...
Gavdog, welcome to you. Smash that thumbs up, guys, while you're here. I always forget to say that. Just do it while you're here.
Tom, Dick and Harry, on social media, people trying to be involved in being armchair detectives.
Such a shame that the family is so impacted by that. Social media, yeah. It can be such a poisonous place to be. I'm so sorry that they are impacted so badly.
Yeah, I mean, it's and they have been wonderful with us as well. Giving us information about Nicola and telling us exactly what kind of a woman she really was. But look, here we're heading now on the path which essentially leads towards the bench. So if we maybe slow down here a bit, maybe we've been walking slightly quicker.
So she would have been looking at, what was the Teams call about? That starts in a couple of minutes, doesn't it? What was it about?
So this was a Teams call that she would have then logged on to, a work Teams call. The police have actually said that she wasn't speaking, she was just listening. And actually what they said is that while she was walking, she had her phone out in front of her, listening. That was apparently quite normal for Nicola to do. The call would have been on speaker, there would have been other people talking.
Her camera was off?
Her camera was off.
Okay.
And it was just logged on for her to listen, essentially, to what was going on in the call. And that's a really important...
She was in finance, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was a mortgage advisor. And her dad had actually told us just a few days before she went missing, he was so chuffed because she just, signed off a deal. She was incredibly happy, she was in good spirits.
And had anybody seen her here? Or there were the two sightings just the other... So just to show you the other side of the field just there, that she'd walked up and then walked round in a big loop, if you will.
Yeah, so just up on this side,
yeah.
Someone actually did spot Nicola, a witness spotted Nicola with her dog Willow. They actually then, police spoke to that witness to get more information. They put out a picture of the witness. They got in touch with the witness. They spoke to them and they got some information from the witness just to piece together the timeline of what we're doing this morning. But this is a vast area, as we can see, the lower field, the upper field. It's a normal move. She takes Willow all the way round, and her walk would have carried on. You know, I think
River
it would have been
always one side or the other.
Yeah,
of
exactly. And,
yeah.
and I think, look, you know, you walk with your dogs, she would have taken it nice and easy. She just
want to show
dropped
you
the
how
kids off
steep.
to
I mean,
school.
the banks are steep here. It has to be said, and they would have been slippy. But it, you know, you would have thought most people would be able to get out of that unless there was some way where they were injured and couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are a whole different number of questions. If the police's main hypothesis is true, Kay, that Nicola ended up in the water, the big question is why and how did she essentially end up in the water? They're the two things that police will really be trying to answer, and that's why they've scoured this river endlessly to see if there's any evidence.
Yeah, so if you're just tuning our way, we are retracing the steps.
Now, the next point of interest, or what people have been speaking a lot about today, is the dog walker. And I think a lot of people have got confused here because of the title of the video. Man who found Nicola's phone speaks to Sky News. Now, a lot of people have been saying, I thought it was a woman who found the phone, or I thought it was this other guy. What, you know, why is this bloke here? You know, but I think when you actually listen to his interview, he said he saw the phone. He didn't say he discovered it. He didn't say he was the first one to come across it. He hasn't said he's the first person to find it. I don't even believe he says he found it. I think that he says quite a lot of times during this interview, yes, I saw the phone on the bench. Yeah, I saw it. He keeps saying I saw it. So I don't think that this is too much to look into. I think a lot of people have been talking about, you know, how could he be the one who actually found the phone? I don't think he's saying that. It's just the title of the video, I think. Just have a look.
Morning, sir.
Come on
Fine,
through.
do come
How
through.
are you?
No, not at all.
Good to see you.
Do you live here?
Well, it has been like that. So you actually...
I've also seen it mentioned, this seems really staged. Why is he walking up to them if he doesn't really want to talk to them? Look, you've got to remember here, right? We're talking about out in the country. You know what I mean? Country folk, you know what I mean? This is basically straight away, the way this guy interacts with this reporter. Oh, do you live here, do you? You know, it's almost as if a lot of people say, why didn't he walk, if he didn't want to be on camera, why didn't he just walk to the left and go round the lower field? This person is a local in that area. Does that make sense? So he's not going to change his path because there's a couple of journalists that are standing in his way. That's how they think. That's just how they are. He's probably thinking to himself, bloody hell, these Sky News people are still here again. And that's why he sort of passes that sarcastic remark of, oh, do you live here, do you? You know, that sort of thing. So I don't think there's anything to be read into the fact that he turns up on camera and this, that and the other, and what a surprise. He's just a local. He's doing the same thing that he does every day. And people like that, they're not going to be deterred by a couple of journalists. And I think that that's told in large part by the sort of sarcastic comment he makes to the guys he walks past.
Good to see you.
Do you live here?
Well, it has been like that. So you actually saw the phone, is that right? Yeah. You saw the phone that Friday morning?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was around, was it after 9:30?
I gave a full statement to the police with the exact time because my wife's telephone call had of the time on it, so but I've given a full statement to the police.
Was it just on the bench, or?
Pardon?
Was it just on the bench?
The phone?
Yeah.
How's the last 3 weeks been?
Each day something new comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And in terms of, you know, when you saw phone, lead and Willow, who you knew who Nicola was.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you knew the Willow, that was it, wasn't it? You knew Willow.
I knew I'd seen both.
Again, I don't find this particularly surprising. I've got a dog. I walk my dog in the same place pretty much every day. You see people, you see the same dog. You don't know their names. You've got no idea what they're called. But you say hello. How's it going? Bit cold, innit? Nice day today. When's this rain going to end? That sort of stuff. How's your dog? How's Bob? But you know, you're not really particularly on first name terms. I've never met another dog walker and said, "Oh, by the way, what's your name?" And you know, get into some in-depth conversation. He probably recognises the individual, recognises the woman, recognises the dog, and that's the end of it. But probably doesn't know them in terms of first name terms.
Both the owners of Willow walking this dog in the past, but whilst I knew them by face, like I know your face, I didn't know the name.
But I remember you actually telling me when you saw the phone, the lead and Willow, you were like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it because something doesn't feel right?
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet in the... you know, that would have been my first... I got to about this red brick building here, and I thought, this is not right. And then there was a conversation, but my wife was trying to ring me, I was trying to ring her. Penny had rung my wife.
Yeah.
To say that she'd fastened the dog up that was...
And Penny was the lady who actually spotted Willow initially,
right, yes.
and saw the phone but didn't know what was going on with the phone.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, so it's Penny the dog walker who discovered the phone and the dog initially. And I mean, every part of this interview has been, you saw the phone. He's never once said, have you found it? But for some reason they titled it, Man Who Found Nicola's Phone Speaks to Sky News. He found it, but he wasn't the person who initially found it. Does that make sense? Some people also say it's a little bit strange. Why weren't the police called? And I've tried to put myself in this position. You know, I walk in a similar area to what this guy is walking at the moment. And I thought to myself, if I found a harness, a dog, and a phone, I mean, my initial impression, I don't think I would initially think, oh, something terrible's happened, I'm going to call the police. I don't think I would, and that might sound a little bit silly. And I think even like her partner said, well, I just thought I'd get there and then I'd be like, oh, she's over there, you know? And I think this guy is, what he's trying to say is, oh, I thought someone was just going to the toilet in a bush or something, or just gone away from that area for a second for some reason. And I think that's what I would expect, or that's what I would assume. I wouldn't necessarily find those items and immediately think, Christ, someone's been abducted, or they've fallen in the river, or something terrible's happened. If there was no other reason to suggest that something bad had happened, I would just find the scene a little bit odd, a little bit strange, but not particularly suspicious until maybe you leave it a little while, 20 minutes, half an hour, 10 minutes, whatever, and nothing's happened. No one's come back for the dog, no one's come back for the items. At that point, I'd think, yeah, there's something up here. But initially discovering those items, I wouldn't think that something terrible has happened. And I might be in the complete minority here when I say that, but as with everything, I just speak with how I feel. So
after that, you know, what happened?
Well,
what were the next steps?
Then it was just a progression of things happening. You know, we found out because of the wallpaper on the phone. We found out who the couple were. Then the school was contacted, and Paul arrived. Yeah.
Well, look, we'll let you carry on with your walk. I know you do this every morning. Yes. Nicola did this almost every morning as well.
Probably, yeah.
We're retracing those steps. This time 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So an important
I know.
juncture. Thank you very much. Take care. All the best.
You.
Whew. Right. What's next on the agenda? I think this one's quite important. I've put this piece in a lot of my videos because it does illustrate the exit of Nicola Bulley's walk and back onto the road, which I think is quite important.
Behaviour. Despite the police's thorough search, there is one blind spot.
So this is the only path out of this whole area that's not covered by a CCTV camera. So if she came out of this way, where did she go at this point? If you turn round and look here, it's a busy road. Hundreds of cars were going past here at 9 o'clock on a Friday morning.
And since then, the police have tracked 700 vehicles going past at the time Nicola went missing.
With there being no sign of Nicola at St Michael's on Wire, the search has been...
And the only thing that I can say, and the only way that I can rationalise this, if she's left the area, is, as I say, maybe she stayed in that towpath area, she's just stayed there for a little while, or maybe she's just decided to cross when there's literally no cars coming whatsoever. Maybe there's a very short break in the traffic, and she simply crossed this very small road, across the gate, and continued downstream on the footpath, along the river path, the other side. That's the only way that I can rationalise her leaving the area, but not being seen on any dash cam or any CCTV. I mean, to me, that location does make sense in terms of where she would normally walk. So we know for a fact that every walk, or pretty much every single walk she does, exit and entry is here. And if she was going to disappear, leave, or maybe something else happened to her, but not at that location where her items are discovered, I think there is a possibility that she crossed this little road here, this small road, straight across there, straight across the gate, and continued to follow the river path. And as I say, by the time the search party actually started looking for her, She could have been anywhere by then. And it's really one of the only exits that I can think of that makes sense for her to have used, which is undetectable. If she had turned right and walked down this way, she'd have been caught on CCTV at the Grapes pub. If she had turned left back toward the school, there's a possibility that if she had gone past the school and continued on walking, maybe she'd have been caught on some sort of Ring doorbell cam or some dash cam footage. But there's nothing. The only way that I can explain that is that she's used that gate, if she has indeed left the area. It's the only way that I can explain it personally. She's not caught on a top field camera. She's not caught on allotment lane through the caravan park, through the little lane that leads off of there. So that only really leaves that little gate there. But it would make sense to use it, wouldn't it? Because if you're coming out of there normally, if you thought to yourself, I'm getting out of here, I'm getting away, or I'm going to do something to myself, whatever, if your mindset was in getting away from that area alone, then yes, you would leave your dog, leave your phone, leave your items, whatever it is, on that bench, and your next port of call would be straight across there, through the gate, continue following the river on that path to wherever you're heading to next. I mean, that's the only logical thing I can think of, logical direction that she could have taken that's not captured by any sort of cameras. Based on the possibility that she has left the area, obviously. Clearly, we don't know. She may not have left that riverside area. But if she has, to me, following the river, you can literally end up anywhere. You can take any of these exits, and you can even end up in a completely different village, most likely without even being seen by anyone. Great Eccleston. So who knows? Who knows? Could she have taken the river path to another little village, got a bus? You mean, you just don't know, do you? They haven't checked CCTV for buses from Great Eccleston, I don't suppose. You could be long gone. And she could have covered quite a great distance by the time the search actually started for her. I think that's also worth remembering, just on foot alone. So I wouldn't discount the possibility that that's what's happened. I really genuinely hope that she has exited there and that she is somewhere safe. I mean, as I said earlier, it's unlikely, but it's the best possible outcome, I think, at this point in time. Her body will never be. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest concerns, isn't it? Especially at this point in time, 3 weeks later, that the resources will be stripped back, and sadly, she'll never be found. I mean, that is a distinct possibility, sadly. Right, and let's just check this one out. I thought this was quite a good video.
Of course, there might be a moment where, the police have to accept that they may never find her.
Oh, absolutely, that's the case. And we can think back over decades to missing persons cases where the person who disappeared was never found. Sometimes that is so. Sometimes there simply isn't any evidence, any physical evidence, any human evidence of what has happened to an individual. Sometimes, tragically, we and families are left with that mystery that is never solved.
Right, let's catch up with some of the chat in a second. Bear with me. Can't bloody turn it down. That bloody wind sound's driving me mad. There we go. Right, what else have we got on here? I've got that one in full. Seen that bit already. Oh, hang on. No, that's that guy that walks over there. We'll check that out in a little while. Right, just going to give another shout out, because I did when I first started this stream, to people who have become members of the channel recently. Vicky Lou, Mark W, Beachbound, Tasha C, Hoof Munter, Lynn S, Ryan H, Rebecca N, Lindsay H, Lenny Russell, Lutonian79, Freebird, Mark B, Wayne H, and Mel T. I never do this. I never actually give a shout out to my members, which is shocking, to be honest. But yeah, thank you for supporting the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, guys, if you are enjoying the content. This was... we're only going to play a very short section of this because we did play quite a lot of it the other day. But this was that walk that I was telling you about, conducted by Dead Good Walks. So feel free to check out his channel. This video is actually like nearly 40 minutes long, so only play a small section of it. in the background as I'm checking out some of the messages here. Just bear with me. Right, let's have a look. The chat goes so quick, it's hard to keep up with it. Just bear with me. Paul Essex, are you a member? I don't think you're a member. Not according to my list that I made. I'll check after this. If I am, then I'm eternally sorry. Right, let's have a look. It is an unfortunate name, Maria, isn't it? But this guy's he's got a well-founded channel. He's been going for quite a while doing this sort of stuff. It's not just appeared because of this case, and the name's just very unfortunate for this particular walk that he did, sadly. Let's have a look. How long is the river from the gate to the sea? I've got no idea, actually. I mean, I could find that out. And put that information out there in a video in the future. I've got no idea, though. I mean, people who are more local to the area than me would be best to answer that. Or Mr. Peter Faulding, but sadly, he's not here. Let's have a look. Who was the last person to see her alive? I guess that would be the 70-year-old man walking his white fluffy dog on the upper field. I think I'm right in saying that. That's as far as we're aware. I mean, someone else may have seen her, and we're not going to know that, though, are we? So, sadly. Chris Davis, please remember the dog would have followed her if she was abducted. Yeah, but I mean, that depends on whether the dog was distracted or whether the dog was able to squeeze through the gap. Because I have heard that the dog did go back there on the day after, but it was quite a struggle for the dog to get through. It did get through, but it wasn't particularly easy. And also, there's the possibility that the dog was only on its own for about 10 minutes. It's not like it's been left there for hours, and then you're thinking, well, surely the dog would have gone through at some point. It wasn't there for that long, really. We also don't know if someone tried to tie the dog up and it was free when it was discovered. We also don't know that's a possibility as well. Can't discount anything in this case at the moment. All possibilities are open. Wish I could slow the chat down. How many kilometres are 9 miles? Oh, God, I don't know. 17 kilometres, is it? Or 20 kilometres? I don't know. Something like that, roughly. It's nearly double, isn't it? But just under, so, yeah. Someone's saying 9 miles. Yeah, host, do a live there tomorrow. I was considering driving there tomorrow, but I'm not going to. I was considering it, but yeah, I've decided that if I go, it's not going to be until probably next week now, just because I've got other commitments, so I can't make it up there. It's literally like a 4-hour drive as well. It's not just a case of just around the corner. It's like double the distance. There, well, when I go to Essex and I cover like the Essex boys stuff. It's like probably double the distance from here to Preston, Lancashire, whatever. What's your gut feeling? As I say, Chris, my personal opinion has changed throughout the investigation. As I said earlier, initially I bought into this idea that she's in the river because I thought the police must have some idea, some evidence, possibly, of where she is. And then when I realised and did my own research that they didn't have CCTV, once I figured that out, then I started to believe that abduction was more of a possibility. And then with the recent revelation of her past struggles, and that things may not have been as good as they first appeared in some of the the interviews conducted with her partner and whatever, maybe there were certain issues that we weren't aware of. I started to think to myself that maybe she's just gone, maybe she's just left, or if she was planning on doing any harm to herself, I think that she's taken herself away from that area. And that's I genuinely hope that that's not the case. I still hold out some hope that she can be found alive, because sometimes this does happen with people. They just go and then they come back, they're found years later. It all depends on her mental state, doesn't it? And I guess the longer it goes on, I mean, you have to be realistic and say that it's very unlikely, sadly, but I still hold out that hope until we have answers, which actually close this situation down completely. And I think some people are like, oh, why are the news still talking about this? Because there's still no answers. We're still no further forward than 3 weeks ago. There's no evidence to suggest she's been in the river. There's no evidence to suggest she's been abducted. And there's no evidence to say that she's gone off on her own accord. There's no evidence to suggest any of those things. It's a complete and utter mystery. And until answers are found, I think people should carry on looking because, this person, as I said earlier, is a mother, is a daughter, is a sister, and, people deserve answers, don't they? And I have to be honest, I don't like the way in which the police have come across to the public in this case. And I hope that she's found alive and well, away from this area. And this whole river thing, we can all say, ha ha ha, she was never in the river. I really hope that is the case. That's the best outcome here. If she's found alive and well, and she was never in the river, that would be the best outcome that I could ever imagine. Let's just hope and pray that does happen. Crocodile. I don't think they have many crocodiles in Lancashire, so no, I'd say that's probably stop one of the hypotheses, sadly. Matt Oliver, welcome to you. I wish I could make this bloody chat go slow, I really do. It's on slow mode as well. Let's have a look. Have they found the fisherman? No, because as that sarcastic lady in the press conference said, she didn't find it particularly suspicious that there were 2 fishermen near a lake. So don't call us with your fisherman sightings. You're all mental. That's pretty much what she was saying. But I think everything should be taken seriously. Every avenue should be looked at. And there's been some talk about this red van. I mean, I have to be honest. When I heard about the red van initially, I thought, oh, God, it can't be anything to do with a red van. It's parked on Hall Lane. What's that really got to do with this location? But then, by all accounts, the person who owns that barn, where it was seen outside, said whoever was there must have been up to no good. We've got like loads of wood stored in there or something like that. And, there's no reason for people to be parked there unless they're up to no good. And I don't know if they've traced this vehicle or what. I don't know if they've spoken to the driver of this red vehicle or traced them. So who knows? Who knows? It's just strange, isn't it? Oh, yeah, there was also another point I wanted to show you before I forget. Is that that's not the only place that you can get out undetected. Also, which I noticed earlier, if you cross the bridge and you look here, because they live in Inskip, don't they? I think that's where they live, is Inskip. Let me see if I can back up a bit here. There's a sign there for Inskip, and it's down like a lane with a gate. I mean, I'd imagine that goes undetected as well. So it's not just a case that you could cross there and go down that gate or go through that gate onto the walking path network. You could also come back over the bridge, which is largely, I don't know how high that part is actually, those barriers, but theoretically, she could have walked back over the bridge unseen and then down there towards Inskip. I mean, that does head back to her house, doesn't it? Which is quite interesting. Or in the direction of her house, I'd imagine. But as I say, my best estimate, and bearing in mind, just my opinion, as I always say, is that if she has left the area, she's taken her normal exit point and gone straight across there, through that gate, and continued on the river path further downstream. And from there, she could be anywhere, to be perfectly honest. Right, let's catch up with the chat. She was very defensive in that police interview. Yeah. I mean, the second press conference with Sally Riley, I mean, they just looked so stressed, and not just for the fact that there's a missing mother of 2, but you could just see personally the strain was immense, and that was even before it really started to get, before things started to get even worse for the police. And I just don't think they helped themselves with that press conference, and then bringing out, she had a number of specific vulnerabilities. Like, you could have just said, this missing person, she was a vulnerable person. I mean, that's all they had to say. They could have just said it was mental health. They could have said anything. But then I think what happened is that when they said that, the tabloids dug into it and they got some information. They knew what it was. And I think they said to the police, look, we've got this information. We know about her past problems. Either you release a statement or it's going to be in the press. I think that's what happened, and it forced their hand. I don't think that they came out and released that willingly. I think they're kind of forced to be honest. But again, just my own opinion. Could be wrong. Oh, yeah. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look. Dave B. The new revelations mean she may have deliberately entered the river and that she could have been further downstream, meaning she could be nearer the sea than Peter Spalding believed. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was one of Peter Spalding's issues, is that if he was made aware of that, then his search strategy could have been changed. He probably would have started a lot further downstream in the first place. So it's not impossible. It's not impossible that she's in the sea. Of course it's not. All three possibilities, as far as I'm concerned, are still open at this point in time. I still think though, well, the thing is, this is what I believe. If she went in where the bench is, then I think they would have found her. But if she has crossed this road, gone through the gate, entered the water nearer the weir, then she could be anywhere, couldn't she? I just don't think that she would have done it in front of her dog. And I know that sounds silly. That might sound stupid. That might sound completely ridiculous, but from what I can gather, they treated that dog as a third child. I don't think that she would have done it in full view of her dog, because she would have been concerned that that dog would jump in after her and the dog would die as well. And that's just my own viewpoint. That's how I would look at it. I might be completely bonkers when I say that, but I think she left everything behind. And if she did something in terms of that, then I think she went somewhere else. And again, that's just my own opinion. Yeah, the dog was bone dry, so the dog most likely didn't enter the water at any stage. So I just don't think that she would have done it there, though. I don't think she would have jumped or walked into the river, because if her dog follows her, then it's not an ideal situation, is it? It's, you don't want your dog following you downstream. If you're in that state of mind, you want to be on your own. That's basically the whole point. You don't want to be seen by dog walkers. You don't want to be seen by a member of the public passing by. You need you need to be on your own, basically. You don't want to take your dog with you. So I think she could have left somewhere else, but for the same purpose, if that makes sense. I hope that's not the case. I hope and pray that's not the case. But as I've said, if she has gone across this way, then there's so many little areas of woodland, so many small areas of woodland that should be checked. I hope they've been checked. And that's genuinely the only reason I really wanted to go there, because I know this is all publicly accessible. It's part of the walking network. It's all public access, this part. And I just wanted to look myself. I just wanted to go just to satisfy my own sense of, has this area been looked into? Have these areas been checked? Because it's the only way logically I can see her leaving this area and not being seen. It's just the only way that I can see it happening. Again, I could be wrong, but it's just a personal feeling, it's just a viewpoint. I've checked woodland at Great Eccleston. Excellent, Andy. As I say, that'd be great. In the video that I made yesterday, if people who are quite local to that area could search those little areas of woodland and surrounding area, all that sort of countryside, would be a massive help, not only to the family but to the police. Don't go breaking in anywhere, don't go trespassing, certainly don't do any of that crazy shit. Just stick to what you're legally allowed to do, and there's no harm in searching for a missing person. They are missing, but please stick to to the law. Don't go trespassing on anyone's land. Don't go breaking into houses or smashing windows. Just don't do any of that stuff, and you'll be fine. Cheryl, if you want to talk to me privately, my email address is on my main page. If you want to send me an email, if anyone has any information or any of that sort of stuff, my email address is on my main page. If you just go to About, ABOUT, where it says About, click on that, and then there'll be an email address there. I think it's crimescenecourtroom@gmail.com. So there you go. 1,900 of you here. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I always say that. It's greatly appreciated you turning up. I don't know when the next video regarding Nicola Bulley, I don't know when I'm going to make another video. I do want to make some plans, as I say, to visit the area at some point in time, but I don't want to piss anyone off. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of trying to strike that balance, isn't it, between looking into things that people are finding interesting, want answers to, but then there's also people who live in that area that don't want people like me with an Essex accent walking around their river wire. Do you know what I mean? Daria Moon, thank you so much for the super chat. It's much appreciated. Smash that thumbs up button, you guys. Show your appreciation. And if we could get some yellow hearts in the chat as well for Nicola Bulley, same as the yellow ribbons that are on the bridge, that would be fantastic. It's great seeing that in other people's chats when I've watched some live streams. And all we can do is hope at this point. Hope that there is some positive news. I mean, just imagine if there was... Just imagine if we woke up one morning and she had been found somewhere. I mean, it would be... God, it'd be incredible, wouldn't it? Thank you for doing that, guys. Do appreciate that. Rowan Water CCTV is gold. As I say, a lot of people talk about this, the upper field and the Rowan Water CCTV. But her past walks... Yes, she walks around here, walks around this area as shown by the adorable Kay Burley on Sky News. Ha ha. She does walk around this area, but she's never exited. So you wouldn't expect her to be on these CCTV cameras because she's never exited this area. Thanks, guys, for doing that. I really do appreciate those yellow hearts in the chat. It's great to see. So you wouldn't expect to see her at Rowan Water. You also wouldn't expect to see her on Allotment Lane. I mean, why the hell would she be on Allotment Lane, for God's sake? I mean, that's the caravan park. Bearing in mind, her car, Nicola Bulley's car, is here. So you wouldn't expect to see her going there. You wouldn't expect to see her going here. And, excuse me, you wouldn't expect to see her on Garstang Road. You would expect to see her on Blackpool Lane, which is where... they do not have any dashcam footage from, or any dashcam footage showing Nicola Bulley. So, as I say, I just don't think that those, unless you're actually looking from the angle of this lady's been abducted, then these areas are not particularly important, because the only reason or the only way that she would use this is if she was being led there by being abducted. There's no reason for her to actually exit up there or exit via the Allotment Lane, exit back onto Garstang Road, because it's in the complete opposite direction of where her car's parked. So, yeah, I don't know. But Blackpool Lane, that's if anyone does have, as I've said in previous videos, if anyone's got dashcam footage from Blackpool Lane on the morning of January the 27th, Friday, January the 27th, please do take a look at it. And if anything's on there of interest, please submit it to the police. Use the tip line, contact Lancashire Police. And yeah, I mean, that's all we can do, isn't it? Thank you for putting those yellow hearts and ribbons in the chat, guys. That's super. That's great to see. It's really good to see. Okay, let's catch up with some of this, shall we? I don't know if Essex True Crime is still here doing the moderating. It might just be Karen who's holding the fort. I'm not actually sure. I think he's actually fallen asleep, which is no surprise. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look. Analysis of a crime with CD. Wow. What good timing. The chat's going so fast. But I've caught your comment somehow. Great to have you here this evening, my man. Good to see you. Hope the back's doing better. We definitely need to catch up again for live stream. I really wanted you on a live stream to discuss this case. Hopefully we can still make that happen in the future. I really do want you on a stream to discuss this. Maybe we can make that happen over the next few days if you let me know how you're feeling. Yeah, Marion, praying for this lovely lady. Me too. Me too, absolutely. I really do hope that there's still a possibility here of a positive outcome. And as I've said, the press conferences that have been given by the partner, by the family, you get that impression that they think there's a possibility here that she has just gone, that she has left. And as I said earlier, is that just hope, or do they know more than we do regarding her own state of mind and they think that actually she just couldn't cope and she's gone. Maybe she's somewhere she needs to be found. She's gone off with somebody else. I still hold out that hope, and I guess we all have to in some way. Whew. Let's have a look. Can we talk about option scenarios? Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Yeah, you can talk about other options and scenarios. Of course you can. Of course you can. It's just a very, very strange one, this, isn't it? It's just very, very strange. I'm here hanging out, getting much better, thankfully. Yes, we will definitely connect up this week. Yeah, I think a lot of my viewers would love you back on the live stream. So do let me know when you're free. We could do with your expertise. It'd be great to get your opinion as well on how this has been handled. Clearly, obviously, you know, you were a police officer or part of law enforcement in New York, but it'd be interesting to see how it would be treated over there and compare that to what has taken place in this case, how they've handled it, and maybe what some of the challenges that they actually face would be quite interesting to look into, rather than just seeing it as, you know, bashing the police or however people perceive it sometimes. Maybe we can look at it from a different perspective as well and see, try and see things a little bit more from their perspective as well. It'd be great. But yeah, we will catch up, Mr. CD. We'll catch up and hopefully arrange something for, next week's Friday now, innit? Always forget what bloody day it is. All right, let's have a look here. Ryan Lee, if she has come to some harm via herself, that's what I'll say, it would have been miles away. And I think that's, as I say, one of my genuine concerns is that if she's left, she's most likely left that area, across the road, through that gate, onto the footpath network of the River Wire. And as I say, she could be anywhere at that point in time. That is my biggest concern. I think that does make some sense as well, the fact that if she has left the dog there, thinking that she could distract the dog while she leaves, she's left her items. She doesn't want to be traced. She doesn't want to be followed. So she's left the items that are required for the dog, the harness, her phone, which she doesn't want to be followed. She doesn't want to be tracked. And she's just literally gone across the road and carried on walking. Maybe she just wanted to go and just carried on walking. We don't know, do we? Don't know. We do not know. Did anything come of the stained glove? No. And I'm quite surprised we haven't had another load of items discovered, you know, like socks and, you know, gloves, hats, whatever, because the amount of foot traffic that area has had from members of the public just searching for this woman is unbelievable, isn't it? You know, you're talking probably thousands of people, I'd say at least hundreds, that have walked in that area. And you can see just by when the people on Sky News are walking there, there's the route that she has taken is just mud. It's just mud now because all the grass has been worn away from just the sheer amount of foot traffic. So you are going to find items. The stained glove was nothing to do with it. I think some bloody stupid TikToker dropped it there on purpose or something and then said, "Oh, look, there's a glove. Oh, ha ha." Yeah, something like that. Yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look here. Would you live stream from there? It's something I have considered. I have considered it, but I think there is some... what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? I'm losing my bloody words tonight. What's the word? There are some challenges, shall we say, when streaming from there, particularly the wind. And the weather's not looking particularly good over the next few days. So if I went there, you know, basically I'll be doing this with my phone. And I hate creating videos when it's just a load of wind noise. I'd have to try and find a way of sorting that out. Maybe trying to get an external mic or something for the phone. So there are some challenges when filming in such an open location as that. Would I live stream from there? Yeah, absolutely. The same that I've done when covering the Essex Boys case, where I visit the crime scene, which I've done on a number of occasions, even at night in the bloody pitch black like a maniac. But yeah, I'd absolutely live stream from there. I don't know. I just don't know how much distance this is. I mean, my idea is to go there, go to the bench area, walk around, just have a general look at the area, take a look at the way out, and then see where this goes. Just try and take this path along the river, further downstream, and just think to myself, where could she have gone from here? But I don't know how much area this covers. When you look at it and you zoom out, it's vast, isn't it? I mean, Jesus. I might end up back in Essex if I walk too far. So we better not go too mad. But you can see, you can just go for miles, can't you? And I think that the possibilities are just vast, just so vast. Even if you follow the river itself, you can end up in Great Eccleston or other villages. Just, yeah, like I say though, these little areas of woodland I think are worth checking out. Parts like this, little areas like that, I think they're worth looking into. Just don't know if they've been checked though, do you? My concern is that so much focus has been on the river that they haven't actually checked the other parts, and I think that's my biggest concern, that other areas have remained unchecked and she's there somewhere. But hopefully, even if there's a 1% chance, I still hang on to that hope that somewhere she's alive and she can be found and she can come back to her children and to her partner and whatever, and to her life, or just continue living elsewhere if she wishes to do so. That's my only hope, is that even if it's 1%, that she's still out there. And until we get answers as to what's happened, I would say to people, just don't give up that little bit of hope that we all still have. Let's have a look here. People are saying hello to Karen. Oh, hello. Oh, Karen Broderick. Welcome to you. I thought it was talking about Karen, the moderator, then for a minute. Let's have a look. Did they use cadaver dogs? I don't know, Suzanne. I'm not sure. I did read that they had some dogs on scene, but I think they were just to do with like the search and rescue sort of stuff, like the river searches. I've seen dogs involved in that, but I don't think that they've had any dogs to track scent or anything like that from the footpath. I might be wrong when I say that, but I don't believe so. But yeah, what's this about her passport? I've had some talk about passport. I haven't heard anything about passport. I mean, is that just speculation? Is that just some bloody silliness that's being put out there? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about her passport, but you're the second person that's mentioned that now. Was the lead on the harness? This is what I'm getting at. I don't know where the lead was. I know where the harness was, but they talk about lead. They talk about lead and harness. They talk about the harness on its own. They talk about the phone on the bench, but I don't know whether the harness was attached to the lead, or the lead attached to the harness, I should say, or they were all separate. I don't know. Or was the lead and the phone on the bench and the harness between the bench and the river? Is that what it was? Don't know. Someone will correct me. Let's have a look here. Simon Taylor. I've been to St Michael's today. How was it, Simon? I might not be able to catch your response because the chat's going so quick here. Let's have a look. Oh, it should be Michael. My email should be on there. Hang on. Let's have a look. I'll have a look myself. Oh no, it's not, is it? Are you looking on your mobile? If you look on desktop, it probably is. But I think if you look on mobile, for some reason, it's not on there. It should be on there. It's on there on the desktop version, but on my mobile, it's not showing. So you may well be right there. I'll have a look into that after the stream. Right, let's have a look here. It was wire-tied. It was attached. It'll be in a coat. Let's have a look. What do you think of Paul saying he had an hour to himself while Nicola dropped the girls off at school? Bit suspect. No, I don't find that particularly suspect. Having an hour to yourself in the morning to do your own thing, sort out your own business, your own work stuff, or do something for yourself, like he said he was going to the gym, something like that. I don't pick up anything really particularly from him in terms of, being some major suspect. But I tend not to say stuff, and I don't say this is exactly what happened or it's impossible. He couldn't possibly be involved. I don't know. It's just my own personal opinion. That's the only feeling I get, is that he doesn't come across to me as particularly suspicious with what he said, and saying he has an hour to himself. Do not, most people enjoy an hour to themselves, don't they? That's how I see it. An hour away from the girls have gone to school. Maybe he's got an hour of peace and quiet. Basically, that's what he's saying. Yeah. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look here. But you can see, I mean, even from when Sky News are there, I mean, searching that surrounding area, I guess they've done as much as they can in that area, the river path, the river itself, and really they just seem to have a few people now with binoculars standing on the bridge looking out to sea. And that's, I don't know, it just feels like everything's been scaled down to such a degree now. Have they even got the resources to find her? I think that's one of the concerns I have as well. Where is the nearest hospital? I don't know, actually. People who are local to the area would be better to answer that, I would imagine. But that's the thing, Dylan. You say if Nikki had done a runner, she would have tied the dog up and thrown the phone behind the bench. The thing is, we don't know that Nikki didn't tie the dog up. She could have tied the dog up and the dog could have got free by the time that it was discovered. Bearing in mind, there is like a 13-minute gap, and it could explain why the dog didn't manage to get after her. We're also told that the dog was tied up by twine, string or rope. We also don't know if that rope was found at the scene. Was that used before to tie the dog up and the dog got loose and this woman found it on the floor and decided to use that to tie the dog up again? We don't know. It's not impossible that the dog has been restrained there in some way and the dog has managed to get free. That's not impossible. Let's have a look here. Blackpool Victoria Hospital. Preston Hospital is closest I've got here. Was Nicola wearing her hat? No, I don't believe she was. Some people have speculated it could have been in her pocket, but from best we can tell, no, she wasn't wearing it. Not according to the CCTV video, or sorry, CCTV stills, I should say. Is there anything else that we need to catch up with before we pull the plug-a-rooney? Just have a little bit more of a watch of this while I follow the chat when it goes onto full screen. And thanks so much for Karen for moderating this evening. Really do appreciate it. I think she's literally been doing it on her own. I was supposed to have had Essex True Crime. I don't even know if he turned up, to be honest. Yeah, mad. So you've done a fantastic job, Karen. I'm gonna have to put you on the payroll. Dear, it's crazy. I really don't. He said to me that he was going to turn up tonight and moderate, and he's just literally left me in the shit, basically. Right, let's have a look. Karen is on top of things. She's doing a great job. Much appreciated. Right, guys, Ian, if you could give the video a thumbs up before you depart this evening, that would be much appreciated. If you haven't subscribed already, if anyone's watching this and you're not subscribed, please also click the subscribe button. I think I'll probably have a next video out. I might try and make one tomorrow, possibly just clearing up some loose odds and ends. Answering some questions maybe about that location again where she could have gone, and some stuff about the dog, the potential different scenarios regarding Willow the dog. Might do a video based on that. We'll see how we go. Right, okay. Is there anything else that we need to talk about? More videos. Lee Mack wants more videos. Yeah, smash that thumbs up button, guys. Much appreciated. And thank you to Tiger for the super chat earlier. And there was another one, I can't remember who it's from though. JC, I think it was, something like that. Genuinely appreciated. Oh yeah, and did I? Oh, I did, didn't I? I did give a shout out to the members. I did it twice. Yeah, so that's fine. I've done that, so that's not a problem. Anyway, guys, I just want to say, we've got 1,800 of you here at the moment. When I've done streams in the past, I've literally maxed out about 300 viewers, like when I do stuff on the Essex Boys. So I just want to say, genuinely, thank you so much for joining this live stream this evening. It's great to have you all here. It's much appreciated. And let's not give up hope. You know, no matter what happens, no matter what is divulged in the press regarding her personal state of mind, I think we can't lose sight of the fact that this is still a missing person. This is someone at this point in time who has not been found. And if you live in the local area, please do continue your own searches. Don't go breaking any laws. Don't go trespassing or breaking into any buildings. Follow the law. But please still keep looking for this lady. Don't give up hope. Let's not give up hope until a definitive answer is found as to her whereabouts. Anyway, I don't know when the next live stream will be. May well do one tomorrow night. I'll see how I feel. If not, maybe one on Sunday. or if there's any news that comes out over the weekend, I'll be sure to do a live stream. It'll be around 8 o'clock anyway, and as always, I'll put a post up to inform you all. And yeah, just want to say again, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I've enjoyed every second. Hope you have too. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Have a good one. And yeah, see you again possibly tomorrow night, possibly Sunday night. But yeah, I'll see you again. Take care, guys. And thanks again to Karen for moderating. You saved the day. Right, take care, guys. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.